All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. This one is entitled Ukraine-Russia Escalation for June 1st, 2025. We covered over on PrepperNow the initial stuff. Now we have the post-op. The post-op is going to get pretty in-depth. We will cover at least all the things that have happened today. And my Lord, there's a lot. There is a lot of stuff going on. You've got a terror attack in Boulder. You've got where I'm beginning with the IAEA coming in and saying that basically Iran has nuclear weapon capability. And then, of course, you've got the Ukrainian strikes on Russia. And there is a lot to think about it. And I've got a pretty interesting thing at the end of this, which will put things really into perspective as to where we are. And my sincerest thank you to a subscriber named DFPXXX, if I'm getting and remember your name correctly. He sent me something that's really critical at the end of this I want to read about some things to think about with everything, okay? So if you guys could lock in, hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, get the notifications. We're going to take you through everything, and there is a lot. So I'm going to dispense with the pleasantries, and we're going to get started on your crisis report right now. If you like what we're doing here, please consider being like Bad Bobber, Stealth Mode, Howard Clegg, and being a member. It is really important because it helps keep things going. I do this every single day. It takes me a long while to do it. I put the information together, and then I come here and I basically do a readout with all of the links on the https://preppernow.substack.com, where you can go and read all of this for your own and find the links of where I get stuff. And yeah, it's just kind of a service I do as Prepper Now for everything. Playing off the Prepper News I used to do a few years ago. Strangely enough, another Prepper channel, pretty big. He's from Canada. You might have heard of him. He's now doing Prepper News, so I hope it goes well for him. But it was my idea first. All right, folks, let's get started on your crisis report, Ukraine-Russia escalation. Here we go. IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, has concluded that Iran carried out nuclear activities using undeclared material at 3 previously unreported sites, Levisan, Xi'an, Vadamin, and Turkuzabad, according to a confidential report circulated to member states on Saturday. Agency said Iran repeatedly failed to provide credible answers and had sanitized locations under scrutiny. It also found evidence that Iran retained unknown nuclear material or contaminated equipment at Turkuzabad as recently as 2018. And so Israel will act now, come what it may. It's not going to wait. This is from, I believe, Aquila. He tends to know his stuff. So we've got this whole thing in the pipeline, and this is just where we started the day. 4 people died as a result of a bridge explosion in the Vygonchinsky district of Bryansk region. 2 crew members, driver and assistant, 2 passengers, reports MASH News. 1 child in serious condition. This was another supposed terror attack. And there is another train thing that happened in Russia. So they are having some major problems. UK fighter jets are going to begin carrying nuclear bombs, according to the Times. In the past 10 minutes, Russia has launched multiple ballistic missiles, possibly more than 5, targeting Ukrainian cities, including Sumy, Kiev, Zhytomyr. Meanwhile, around 100 drones currently active in Ukrainian airspace. This is where everything started, and we will take it from there. Rioters in Paris are seen looting a Chanel store after the PSG victory. I look forward to seeing Paris in about 36 hours. U.S. President Donald Trump shared a post on Truth Social Media, his platform, from a netizen of the QAnon Great Awakening movement, claiming that There is no Joe Biden anymore because Joe was executed in 2020. There are Joe Biden clones and body doubles, all robotic, engineered, soulless, mindless entities, and the Democratic Party supporters reportedly don't know the difference. Okay. India claims Pakistan breached the Indus Water Treaty by supporting PER. According to India, India has charged Pakistan with violating the Indus Water Treaty because of ongoing cross-border terrorism. During a conference in Tajikistan, Kirti Varadhan Singh criticized Pakistan for trying to exploit the forum by bringing up IWT concerns. Singh emphasized the importance of reevaluating the treaty in light of new factors such as technological progress and climate change. So, there we go. The dudes of doom. I like it. We are the dudes of doom. I'm going to use that forever. Who put that out there? I got to find that. The dudes of doom. Oh my God. Is that you, Winning Streak? Did you freaking create that? That is awesome. You will forever get that. The dudes of doom. Oh, I love it. All right. We got to come up with a good one for the ladies. The ladies of, I don't even know. Anyway. Russian state media reports emergency involving a train in the Bryansk region occurred as a result of a bridge being blown up, local government reported. Over the last hour, unimaginable has happened. This is where it all begins. Ukrainian forces launched massive waves, FPV strikes against air bases. Nuclear bombers of Russian aerospace forces are located thousands of kilometers from the front line. The Olenia base, Murmansk region, Belaya air base, or Irkutsk, central Siberia, subjected to a massive drone attack. Local residents are publishing footage of explosions and fires. Multiple Russian VKS air bases are on flames with dozens of planes, strategic bombers seen, destroyed and damaged. Black Swan for Russia. Media affiliated with the Ukraine SBU says Belaya Air Base, Irkutsk, also hit. SBU drones hit more than 40 aircraft, including the A-50, Tu-95, and Tu-22M3. Reportedly, Ukrainian forces and collaborators hit 7 Tu-160s and 7 Tu-95MS bombers. Explosions, massive fire, Russia's Severomorsk naval base, home port for the nuclear-armed submarines, main base of the Russian Northern Fleet, Kola Bay near the Barents Sea. Housing two-thirds Russia's nuclear submarines, including Yasen, Oscar II, Sierra II, and special purpose submarines. So it is, it's on like Donkey Kong at this point. So let's keep going. Winning Streak, I'm thinking the Mistresses of Mayhem, something like that, but I think that's probably been used. We can come up with a good one for the ladies. U.S. Navy Boeing P-8A Poseidon spotted over Romanian coast, likely looking at Black Sea and Russian-controlled Crimea. Russian milibloggers are calling this attack the Russian Pearl Harbor. It is now basically known as that. White House wasn't aware that today's large-scale drone attack by Ukraine on the Russian military aircraft was coming, says SBU operated without help from U.S. intelligence, according to CBS. That is what they are going with. Oh, good news. Earth was hit by a severe G4 geomagnetic storm, according to NOAA. Ballistic missile threat, air raid, alert, Kiev, several regions. All right, so the bomber fleet is burning. 40 planes destroyed. Olenia, Belaya, Ivanovo, Deogilevo, 5th Airfield in Voskrensk, Moscow region. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said he had ordered the Israeli Defense Forces to continue fighting the Hamas group in the Gaza Strip, regardless of the state of the ceasefire negotiations in the enclave. Quote, I have instructed the IDF to continue to operate in Gaza against all targets, regardless of any negotiations. Either Hamas will release the hostages or it will be destroyed. Western media quoted excerpts from the minister's statement. Ukraine informed Trump administration in advance about attacks on Russian air bases, according to Axios. That has been since disproven. Trump's envoy, Wyckoff, says, I received Hamas's response to the U.S. proposal, and it is completely unacceptable and will only lead to our retreat. Pentagon is giving all transportation military service members in the U.S. military until June 6th to voluntarily resign. After that, the military is expected to begin involuntary separations for active duty trans service members who remain. Yesterday on the PrepperNow Locals and SubscribeStar, I put on a video from a few years ago about how one of our service members was rendered the jibbity jab. And let me just say, it took about 6 people to do it and was one of the most horrific things I've ever seen, lest we never forget where we were and what this channel was basically born from. White House, it is in Iran's best interest to accept the nuclear deal Wyckoff sent to Iran. Rescue workers announced 22 dead from the Israeli gunfire near American Aid Center. British Prime Minister Starmer says we will deliver the largest sustained increase in defense spending since the Cold War. In terms of cost effectiveness, Ukraine's June 1st, 2025 sabotage, also now known as spiderwebs, has few equals. A single FPV drone costs $300 to $600. In contrast, modernized Russian Tu-95 MS strategic bomber is valued at $100 million. That is over a 100,000 time cost gap. Russian war bloggers urge Oreshnik missile strikes on Kiev after massive FPV drone attacks on 4 Russian air bases today. Oreshnik capabilities, intermediate range ballistic missile, or IRBM, Mach 10 to 11, 1,000 to 5,500 kilometer range, believed to carry MIRVs or multiple independently targetable reentry vehicles. Launch method is a road mobile for survivability. Last year, Ukrainian military intelligence scanned Russian bomber aircraft and trained AI to recognize them and execute automatic dive attack algorithms. Today, the results. Ukraine trained AI targeting the algorithms Soviet aircraft displayed in military museums. Poltava Museum Long Range and Strategic Aviation has both Tu-95 and Tu-22M3. Russian sources claim geolocation shows Ukrainian FPV drones used in the airbase attacks were assembled inside a rented warehouse at 28A Sverdlovsky Trakt, Chelyabinsk, Russia. Claimed facility lies near the Kazakhstan border, possibly a supply route for components. Trump admin was not aware of today's large-scale drone attack by Ukraine. Source CBS. Axios corrected its report, saying the Trump admin was not informed. Iran increases uranium enrichment by 50% despite talks with the U.S. Iran has vastly accelerated its 60% uranium production from 30 kilograms per month to 45 kilograms per month, 50% increase, according to the confidential report today from the IAEA. Excuse me. Iran also secretly increased its stockpile of uranium enriched to 60%, more than 900 pounds. 60% enrichment. Iran is only a step away from weapons-grade uranium, which could be used for nuclear weapons. With the amount of enriched uranium it possesses, it will be able to produce 10 nuclear bombs. Poland is actively building trenches and anti-tank defense lines near the border with the Kaliningrad region. Also reports of local residents being evicted, moved from border areas. Also a very big presidential election in Poland today. We'll have the results at the end. Terrifying footage from France. During the celebration of PSG's victory in Grenoble, France, driver lost control of the vehicle, ran over several people. Pretty nasty images. I will be doing, for PrepperNow, probably posts on preparedness as you travel abroad. Okay, now this is something that, if first of all, if you want a great channel for that, please go to the Roaming Prepper. Roaming Prepper, text me today. We talk in the background from time to time. He does great. That's what a lot of his channel talks about. I'm going to try and talk about that there. This channel, I think what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to put together a report and put them onto the Substack, but I'm not going to be able to do a video. So I think what I'll do is like a 5 or 10 minute little like kind of report of everything at the end of the night. And put it out there for you, and then you guys can go from there and then follow up and look at the report itself. Okay. I thought about doing the auto readout thing, but every time I do that, you guys all freak out. So we won't do robo voice, man, but I'll try to keep up. There might be some days that I miss. I'm going to be traveling with my family across France and into other countries. So I'm going to do my best, but I also need to relax and enjoy myself because this freaking trip is costing an arm and a leg. And also, we've been hit with a lot of extra bills in the last 6 months of 2025. So we've been basically stretched, but everything's paid for and I can't take it back now. So F it, we're going. Bee alert, truck crash set, 250 million bees, sparking warnings in western U.S. Police are telling people to avoid swarms of stinging bees. This is where we're at, folks. Welcome to 2025. You've got nuclear grade uranium in Iran. You've got major drone strikes, Russia, Ukraine. You've got Israel basically getting ready to wipe Iran off the map. And to just really just put the cherry on top, we've got rogue bee swarms out in the western U.S. going out and trying to take their chunk of flesh as well. What a great time to be alive, right? Trump says Pakistan officials reportedly visiting U.S. are going to negotiate a trade deal, potential 29% tariff. Ukraine launched drone strikes on multiple Russian air bases, military planes targeted. Russian bloggers are calling it a Russian Pearl Harbor. Zelensky says Ukrainian delegation will be in Istanbul on Monday for the talks. Russia is there too. They're all in good spirits, supposedly. India arrested 81 sympathizing for Pakistan. One of the persons arrested was posting a Pakistani flag on his Instagram. Ukraine says at least 40 Russian air warplanes were destroyed in this massive strike. Ukraine launched a major operation using the suicide drones, targeting the entire Belaya air base at Irkutsk, 4,200 kilometers away from the de facto Ukrainian border. Multiple Tu-95s reportedly on fire. These are all nuclear capable. Vladimir Putin called for an emergency security council meeting. Supposedly the drivers of the drone truck killed themselves by strangling themselves. Okay. Russian political. Why do I have Marcy Park, D.C. in my head right now? Why do I have Marcy Park, Washington, D.C. in my head right now? Go figure out what that one is for the obscure. Russian political echelon calling for a limited nuclear strike against Ukraine. Yes, that has been danced about. Ukraine did today what has permanently altered the power balance in Europe. Poland and Germany will be grinding its teeth. Putin has no other option but to flex his country's nuclear assets. Oreshnik definitely in the cards. Russia has lost an estimated $7 billion in USD in Operation Spiderweb. Pearl Harbor attack 1941, 5.5 billion USD. Today's loss, $7 billion USD worth of military assets. Elon Musk says drones are the future of warfare, not manned aircrafts, following the massive attack on Russia. He is absolutely correct. SBU, 34% of strategic carriers of cruise missiles in the main airfields of the Russian Federation have been hit, 7 billion estimated loss. Estimated total Russian strategic bomber fleet, 130 to 140 cruise missile capable bombers, 34% hit, claimed by Ukraine, 44 to 48 aircraft damaged, destroyed. Fleet size, Tu-95 MS, 50 to 60 total, 22 to 27 active. Mentioned 45 older variants, Tu-160, fewer than 20 operational, Tu-22M3, 60 in service, 40 recently observed, Olenia Air Base. U.S. officials are warning in European allies Russia plans to conduct a disproportionate retaliation against Ukraine. An official warning could be released by the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine shortly. Both sides have launched massively painful drone attacks. Russian Air Force used almost 500 drones, several ballistic missiles. Ukraine attacked several Russian airfields deep inside Russian territory. Operation Spiderweb goes on from there. Russian attacks concentrated in Sumy, Konstantinivka. Russians were able to advance along several sections of the front. North of Toretsk, geolocated images prove the fighting is ongoing in Belivka. Russian sources also claim villages already under Russian control. Thunder, terrorist attacks, border region, strategic aviation suffers losses in the military summary and analysis. That is from the Russian channel, and it is really good caliber. So the recap of the train, basically 47 hospitalized, 3 children amongst the lost and injured. Russian railways attributed the collapse of an illegal interference in transport operations in some Russian sources. That is the Klemovo to Moscow derailed Vygonchinsky district, Bryansk region train crash. Passengers were evacuated. There was another one. Separate incident. Freight train derailed when a bridge on the Trostna-Kalinovka highway collapsed while the train was crossing. More than likely, these were terrorist attacks of different variants. And then, of course, it goes in and tells you about the FPV kamikaze drone attack. We will miss that. We've already covered it. Sirens were then flying off the handles in Kiev. And then, of course, the updated spiderweb operation. And now we're back to the intel. Russian sources claim to have geolocated the assembly line of the Ukrainian FPV drones. Recent strikes, Russian air bases, according to reports, facility located inside rented warehouse, 28A, Sverdlovsky Tract, Chelyabinsk. U.S. official confirms Washington was not informed of today's Ukrainian raid. Russia's defense ministry says Ukraine carried out the terrorist attack using drones against airfields, Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan, Amur regions. Russian defense ministry says all attacks on the airfield have been repelled. Russia's defense ministry says some participants in the attacks against the airfields have been detained, according to TASS. By the way, if you click on these little dots, they will take you to all of the different X and Twitter stuff right there. Russia Defense Ministry says several aircraft caught fire after the attacks. So it is bad. Ukraine Security Service says that 34% of Russia's strategic cruise missile carriers have been 86th, $7 billion U.S. Special Operation WebNet, 34%. We are now in the very redundant. You guys have heard that. This is where everything starts to get updated right here. Today, the Kiev regime carried out the terrorist attack. FPV drones, airfields, Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan, Amur. Military airfields in Ivanovo, Ryazan, and Amur, all terrorist attacks repelled. Basically, this is just Russia saying that nothing happened to them, but that's not true. They did. A lot of bad stuff happened. Russian sources allege Ukrainian FPV drones used in recent airbase attacks were assembled in rented warehouses. U.S. official confirms Washington was not informed of today's Ukraine raid. Zelensky says in total 117 drones were used in the operation, corresponding with the number of drone attacks. 1/3 strategic cruise missile carriers are gone. Our people operated at a different Russian regions, 3 time zones, and our people were taken out of Russian territory on the eve of the operation. Now they are safe. So he was gloating. And here we are with the new intel. Gold ETF scramble is accelerating. Inflows into gold funds are annualizing a record 75 billion, most ever. Gold just had its biggest ever ETF inflow, $8 billion in the past week. Therefore, it's just a little more to go for ETFs to catch up. FBI investigating an incendiary fire at Boulder, Colorado. Israeli protest, act of terror, targeted violence. We'll have more on that. Mohammed Soleiman, Egyptian illegal immigrant who overstayed his visa, is a suspect in the Boulder attack, so he wasn't supposed to be here. FBI confirms he entered the U.S. during the Biden administration. Who could have saw that coming? But don't worry, the Boulder police chief said we're not calling it an act of terror at this point, okay? Would be irresponsible, way too early to speculate the motive. Governor Tim Walz encouraged Democrats to be meaner and to bully the S out of President Donald Trump, because that's how you win votes, by acting like a total jerk face. Don't ever go and like change your you know your platform or get like a jobs bill or maybe some other things going on. Maybe help people get back to work or an economic plan. No, that's so antiquated and old school. The whole political platform that helps the people. Don't do that. Go into the streets and start attacking people because that makes sense. ICE and DHS conducted a raid on Democrat Representative Jerry Nadler's office after allegations surfaced that he had aided and sheltered rioters. Senator Lady Graham has praised Ukraine's large-scale drone strike on Russia. Photos circulating from the Colorado attack appeared to show the alleged suspect carrying Molotov cocktails. New York Police Department heightened its security at religious sites for the Jewish holiday of Shabbat following Colorado terror attack. FBI Director Kash Patel is reportedly introducing regular polygraph tests for senior officials in an effort to crack down on internal leaks. Man accused of the Boulder terror attack was in the U.S. illegally, having entered the country during the Biden administration. And for some recent graduates, this is an interesting one. Excuse me. This one, the next I'm talking about is about AI and how it's basically going to take away a bunch of jobs. There is a person I met here through YouTube, and he's a prepper. Doesn't live too far away. Totally smart guy. I love having conversations with him because he's a bit of a philosopher, but also just outside the box thinker. Chris, this one's for you. We were talking about AI, job apocalypse, and all that. And he had some excellent input on this, but I want to read this because this is important, because this is kind of where things are going. This month, millions of young people will graduate from college and look for work in industries that have little use for their skills, view them as expensive and expendable, and are rapidly phasing out their jobs in favor of artificial intelligence. Troubling conclusion, my conversation over the past several months with economists, corporate executives, and young job seekers, many of whom pointed to an emergency crisis for entry-level workers that appear to be fueled, at least in part, by rapid advances in AI capabilities. You can see hints of this in the economic data. Unemployment for recent college graduates has jumped to an unusually high 5.8% in recent months, and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York recently warned that the employment situation for these workers had deteriorated noticeably. Oxford Economics, a research firm that studies labor markets, found that unemployment for recent graduates was heavily concentrated in technical fields like finance and computer science, where AI has made faster gains. There are signs that entry-level positions are being displaced by artificial intelligence at higher rates, the firm wrote in a recent report, and that is going on. So if you know any youngins, you might want to push them towards the trades, become an electrician, carpenter, maybe HVAC, whatever. Get them into those trades because that's not going to be taken over by AI yet. U.S. State Department has been instructed to suspend the work on implementing any new economic sanctions against Iran, according to the White House. So, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke to Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, offered his condolences following the railway line bombings, not the FPV drone thing. Ongoing naval defense maneuvers in the Black Sea after Ukraine naval drones were spotted. And after the Ukraine attack, Russia will no longer be able to use strategic Tu-95 or Tu-22 bombers, according to Wall Street Journal. Multiple people injured after reports of a multi-car crash in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I don't know if you've ever been there. I have. I know this main strip of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. A bunch of people got hit. Nationalist candidate Karol Nawrocki, a Trump admirer, is predicted to have won Poland's presidential election, a projection showed on Monday, in what would be a major blow for the country's pro-EU government. U.S. debt market crisis is looming, according to J.P. Morgan chief. Russian side received from Ukraine's a version of Kiev's memorandum on the settlement on the conflict. So we shall see if they go. Now, this is the important one. This is the post-op I was talking about of this whole thing that just happened between Russia and Ukraine, okay? There's a lot here. It's 2 parts, and we're just going to go through it, and we'll see what you think. So it appears Zelensky gave the go-ahead to attack parked Russian nuclear-capable bombers without informing President Donald J. Trump. If true that our president was not consulted nor informed, this isn't simply a breach of protocol. It's a geopolitical insult and a warning sign. If Ukraine is willing to conduct strikes without strategic consequences, or with strategic consequences, without notifying the White House, we are no longer allies with coordination issues. We are co-belligerents flying blind. Also, given Senator Warmonger Lindsey Graham's and Senator Denang Dick Blumenthal's recent visit, this attack could appear as though it was sanctioned. I pray the Russians had better intelligence than that. In my honest opinion, these two don't have the sense or common sense to pull something like this off. There will have to be denials, though. For your information, those bombers that were hit have to be out in full view due to nuclear treaty obligations. Zelensky took advantage of that. For instance, they appear to have hidden the drones in containers and were driven on trucks near the airbase, a smart use of deception. However, imagine any one of our big bomber bases having the exact same thing done to them. Very costly U.S. strategic bombers can be taken out in the same way by anyone with access to inexpensive drones, delivery trucks, explosives, and a bit of technical knowledge. Not good new tactics will now have to be developed. People, and especially world leaders, need to realize the global implications to such an operation as Ukraine just pulled off. Russia will respond. Action, reaction, counteraction. Those are the shifting tides of warfare. This wasn't a bold action, it was brash. Ukraine's short-term win could be the world's long-term loss. Despite what is a complete mess right now in Europe, and I can't wait to go see it, there are still solutions to achieving peace. They are narrowing, however, and time, as it often does, becomes an enemy instead of a useful friend. And that, my friends, is why I am going right now to see Europe in its current form, because to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be in that form in a year. And as we were speaking at 10:45 Eastern, 1 hour ago, Moscow was under attack again as Ukrainian strikes have been hitting Russian ballistic missile production facilities. It is on like Donkey Kong. So, all I can say is hold on to your butts, because we are in new territory here, okay? If you like what we're doing here, please go to the Substack, which is on your screen, and follow. You can go to https://preppernow.substack.com. Some people pay for the service, others do not. They just go for free. Everything I do here, I always say that, I am the product. I'm not going to try and pitch other things. There's nothing wrong with that. I know other channels, they can pitch. That's totally fine. There's a lot of great stuff that they put out there. I just put information out. That's what I think I do a good job of. I put it out here on the crisis report, and I let you guys pick through it. I give links and everything else, and I just that's the way I do it. If you guys like what's going on, you'll click those buttons, you'll like it, you'll subscribe, you'll become a member here, which you can do. Like a few people in the chat. These are all great ways. You can join me on Subscribestar or Locals. That's a great way. Posting stuff earlier today. I do about 5 to 10 a day on those channels and things that will get you kicked off of Facebook. But point I'm making is that I'm trying to give you guys good information as quickly as possible. And there are a lot of moving parts to all this, so you need to be informed. Okay? So all I can say is keep prepping. That's all I can say. It is absolutely crazy out there right now. So, friends, dudes and dudettes of doom, that is the truth. All I can say is keep prepping. 84 years to the day Operation Barbarossa kicked off. Not an accident. Wow. Thank you, Craig Whitlock. I love history. I'll be on the beaches of Normandy here in a few days. So, friends, thank you so much for being here. Be safe. God bless you all. And we will see you on the next one. Links will be in the description. And we just thanks for being here. Woo! Great time to be alive, huh? We'll see you tomorrow.